are, who I don't think should be in this pick and ban phase. Nord this time are going to be on that blue side, Natives on the red, so there has been a bit of a shake-up going into game number 3.
Yeah, so I want to just start it off with here, is that you have a choice to make now, if you're Nord, right? As an adaptation to that loss you just had. Do you value target bans on Vladdy still, or do you want to ban more meta? The thing is with blue side, though, they've opted for blue side, is that you have more room for target bans, because you don't have to ban as many OPs, because you can first pick. So, what do they decide to do? It looks like they're going to opt to stick with the target bans.
I think maybe the Tristana won't be banned. I think I could see that being left open, and then banning away the Rumble. Or they have some plan to pick away the rail, and then they feel the Rumble won't be as strong, or they pick away the Rumble themselves. They have to have one plan here to deny one of those two champions, for sure. But they still stay with the Tristana, so Rumble and Rill still on the table. I would like to see Nord first pick one of those to deny them from Nativz. The Rill actually banned through from Nativz because they don't want Nord to have that power pick as the first lock-in.
Maokai, Kai'Sa, Xayah, these are all picks that I'm looking
Kai'Sa,
at. And
please.
they've adapted. Okay, they've decided screw the peel safety style and peeling Hiddo, right? We're going full dive, right? So alongside this Kai'Sa, you pair off full dive champions, stuff like the Ornn on top of it, throw down the ultimate, you know, you follow up on engages. Nautilus is a common pairing. So that's what I want to see now. How does Nord form this, form a draft around Hiddo? Because he has, I think it's like 2 pentakills on this champion this split. Azir might be taken away from Natives, and we've seen that Vladdy and this Azir is really good. And typically what you pair with Azir is more tanks and front to back. So we might be seeing a clash of styles here.
Yeah, I more crucially, more than anything, I just want to see Nord play more proactive. I think they picked a comp that couldn't do anything last game, and they just sat and played Natives game. Natives, they're going to want to play scaling. They've got Azir, they've got Aphelios, they're just going to want to farm for 300 CS and then look to do stuff on the map outside of that. I'd love to see, like you were saying, the Nautilus get picked up here for Seneca, so they have someone who can pair up with that Kai'Sa for kind of early lane prio, and a jungler who can do stuff on that map. Because I don't think the Ivern was inherently a bad pick. It's just they had a comp that couldn't do anything, so the Ivern couldn't really do anything other than shield Hiddo to stop them dying.
Yep. Maokai is another pick that's coming to mind here. Maokai is an incredible, probably one of the best team fighting tank in the game at the moment. Although Sedge also works with the front to back that Natives won, but both teams are probably gunning up that Maokai. I wouldn't be surprised to see Nord take it away here. And then just a handshake of Sejuani too, because both teams desperately need either engages or tanks here. Yeah, there's a Sedge. Sedge, Nautilus, a beautiful combo.
Yeah, that is very nice, and as you said, that leaves the Maokai open. Would probably be taken here by Natives unless they want to lock in something else to spice it up. Maybe take a support so the pool doesn't get trimmed any further. There is a chance of that. But I would probably prefer the Maokai. It is the strongest of the picks open at the moment.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
So they go for the support instead, yeah.
So I think that's fine, right? You get Maokai pinched, but Braum is such an incredible champion into dive, right? We saw them try to play it like last game. They're banning out more dive that Catch Cost has shown with that Malphite. Specifically, Poppy is still open, which is a very Catch Cost champion. I wouldn't be surprised to see that banned away, but Ornn is also very good in dive compositions as an R4 blind because, and I expect that banned, because you just throw down an ultimate and whoever you CC, Kai'Sa can ult off. Right, it's an incredibly potent duo. You throw the ultimate on whoever's CC'd. And however, to be fair, they have Braum Wall, so maybe that drops down in priority. But still, they need more tanks and dive.
Alrighty, well, looking for the last couple of bans off here from the side of Natives. Well, the last ban from Natives, one more from North. They're going to take their Jax away. Don't want to deal with Kakos on that once again. I mean, he was very impactful in game number 1, even with the whole breaker build in those team fights. See what the next rotation is going to be here from the side of Nord. Just looking at things like, obviously, the Ornn are still up and available. Natives could draft that. Honestly, Nord could draft that as well. They actually do deny the Maokai. I think that's a solid ban out on that front. It's taking that off the table. And it looks like the Natives roster now looking towards their jungler, deciding what they want to pick up. Make sure they get counterpick for Shikari in that top lane. Crucially, the Rumble is up and available still. And honestly, so far from what Natives have drafted, unless they pivot off a different jungler here, they're not that overly AP favored. Yeah, they've got the Azir, but they can lock Rumble in and not actually upset their damage profile too much. That's a locked in Xerath. Oh, that's a bit different.
Spicy. Really, really good. Traditional old school counters to Azir are outranging him, right? In the past, you had AP Cogmore, you know. Artillery is the term that people love into the Azir. And on top of that, the weakness for Aphelios is also more artillery. So, yeah, really beautiful stuff. I love this draft adaptation for Omon here.
It's really, really nice. I'm excited for this. Now, though, what will Kaskas be playing? He was hovering around a lot of stuff, but does end up going with the Aatrox. Now, though, the counter pick is in the pocket of Shikari. I wonder what he'll go for.
Yeah, that's interesting. You have a few options into the Aatrox, right? I mean, it depends, because maybe he's picking this Aatrox because they know Shikari wants to play a tank, so he's just going to play Aatrox into tank, and typically that's pretty fine. I wouldn't be surprised to see an Ornn come out, but it looks like Shikari is going to say, you know what, I'm actually going to carry, instead of playing a tank to buy space, I'm going to buy space with AoE damage, right? And now you have Shikari on this Kennen, who's going to dive backline to allow his carries to hit.
Okay, so a few things to note here. First of all, last time we saw Kakos on the Aatrox, he actually popped off. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. Also, Hiddo is not as susceptible to getting AoE down because you have the dash, you have that mobility from the supercharge as well. And, you know, you've got to get through an Aatrox, a Nautilus, and a Sejuani onto that backline. And realistically, Omen's probably not going to be standing too close to Hiddo. So you don't get that perfect Kennen ult where you pin all of the carries down in one place and then AoE them down. So there is... I prefer this comp from Nord. I'm curious, though, for your thoughts, guys. Do you agree with me, or do you think Nativz still have gotten away with a very good draft here?
I think Nativz has some strengths. The thing for me is I would like Shikari in this game to play more for the flanks, because if he finds the right flanks, he could find Omen and instantly assassinate him from the fights. That's definitely a possibility. Or he could play it, as Aragon said earlier, I'm not going to buy space with HP, I'm going to buy with AoE damage and then just play the front to back, using the ultimate to try and melt down these tanks with Den Voxne, so they could, then go onto the backline afterwards. But the flanks is a possibility, something we saw a lot of success from in Nord in the first game with Kashkas finding the flanks. Now Shikari could kind of do the same, assassinating the carries of his opponents.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it's all on Omen, though, right? He's pulled out the big guns. You have poke from AP Kai'Sa and poke from the Xerath, which honestly, with your hyper carries that are shorter range, with the Azir, with the gosh, what's the name of the champion? I've completely blanked. How have I done that? Aphelios, holy moly.
There we go.
You get countered so hard by poke, right? So it's on them to set up the poke before the dragon fight, make sure they're on the objective, and they can just poke them off, even if the enemy are on the objective first. But again, like you said, I completely agree with Duckling. If, whilst they're poking and they don't get to poke enough, then they get flanked by Shikari, Omen could be in a real pickle. I also am curious to see catch cost. Something I didn't actually note was we're on 13.14 now. That's with Aatrox buffs, and Aatrox on this patch is incredibly potent, so I didn't realize. I thought we were still on 13.13, but still. Kennen is actually an incredibly good champion to Aatrox in terms of laning phase as well. So expect catch cost to be chunked and pushed under the tower.
Another thing that we haven't really hit on is the fact that, Hiddo's been on the Xayah as a comfort pick for the entirety of this series so far. Now finally switching it off onto the Kai'Sa, which, as Aragon has said, actually is probably one of their best champions. Crucially, though, Den Voxne has got his hands onto the Aphelios for the first time, and I consider Aphelios to be one of Den Voxne's comfort picks. It's a pick we see him play even when it's not meta, and he plays it exceptionally well.
He is a really big fan of the Aphelios and has been so for years. I remember back in 2021 as well, working with him on Trade. He loved to practice the Aphelios, to play it a lot. Whenever he could in competitive games, he would get it out there as well. So this is one of his most comfortable champions. To me, it is the Den Voxne synonymous champion, having watched him behind the scenes as well. So I'm very happy to see him get this in the finals. It's definitely something he's confident on. The question is, will it work? Because as Aragon said, Omen with the range could look to poke out Den Voxne and really deny him from any possibility in the fight. So pressure on Omen to shut down this Den Voxne pocket pick.
So, interesting anecdote. I played with Vladdy's Azir and solo queue about a month and a half ago, and he really 1v9 with an insane Azir shovel down bot side. If he rewatches this and hears this, he'll know which game I'm talking about. He was an absolute beast on the Azir. I'm fully confident, despite having his Jace and Yone targeted in ban phase, he's probably going to still be able to pilot this comfortably. The only question mark, though, I feel like in the center of the map right now, observers are highlighting, is how does Omen pilot this Xerath? We've never seen Xerath, right? Who plays Xerath? No one. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of the first or only Xerath picks across the world this summer, because no one often picks it. You rarely get opportunities to pick it in the first place, but Azir is a perfect one. So let's see how I pilot it. I also want to see Indecision. What's his early pathing? Does he make an early gank topside after 3 camps? We highlighted in game 1 that he loves on this Sejuani to do 3 camps. And common for Sejuani is, does he do 3 camps into a gank? Mid lane could be juicy, depending on if a stun lands from Xerath, although it's probably not likely. Or top lane.
Well, Omen right immediately has lost the race to level 2, so let's get somewhat poked out. But it's kind of at that point where once the Q comes in, wave clear gets a little bit more effective for him. Just what the minion into range of that tower. Ooh, that level 2 mark, really nicely played. And Vladdy gets that second wave crash in quite happily, and is just going to try and place some vision down to spot out where Indecision is.
Look at those pings coming down. Indecision saw that Vladdy was going for wards on those raids, and he also skirted the minions that were crashing into Omon's tower. He's really doing his best right now to avoid being seen and give him over information as to where he started. So now, Nativz are a bit clueless, right? They don't know where he is or where he could go. He might look for a bot lane play here.
Yeah, he could do. They're feeling pretty comfortable in that bot lane, thinking, but with that chicken camp warded and no sign of Indecision, he's probably on that top side, although they will eventually put 2 and 2 together, but he's probably skirted the vision if it takes too long, because they'll be like, those chicken camps meet up, and they can't be top still at this point.
Yeah, he's going for them now as well, so should be spotted there soon.
Yeah, there it is. Finally giving that information over, so they will see him. Stefan on that top side has done a full clear, where Indecision's been a little bit more mobile and moving around the jungle as much as possible. But Omen right now, actually not having as good a laning phase as our previous games. Early into Vladdy. Vladdy definitely starting to win the upper hand of some of these trades.
Yeah, I want to give some credit to Vladdy here as well, especially with how he's positioning whenever Omen starts to queue, because he's walking away from the wave, forcing Omen to really make the choice. Do you want a bit of poke, or do you want to be able to contest on the wave clear? And it seems so far that Omen has gone for the I want to do some damage to you route, but Vladdy has still been able to sidestep them, so in the end, Omen is throwing his abilities out into essentially nothing, so that leaves Vladdy with control over the wave state. He's not taking that much damage either, and Omen, he's burning through that mana bar.
Yeah, and plays not being able to be found down in bot lane. Typically, in the Braum versus Nautilus lane, it's pretty bad, right, thematically for the Nautilus, but there are windows where you can take short trades to chunk out the Braum potentially and try and force summoners, you know, to potentially set up a gank with your jungler. It looked like Indecision really wanted to gank bot lane, force something, or maybe just crash the wave, but he kept going down bot side, and maybe he wanted his bot lane to trade a bit more. Still wasn't found. Now they're going to recall on a ward and get that cancelled. On a little as Indecision plays up back top side.
It's going to just be doing the Zera thing, though. You get that mana regeneration from your passive, so he'll be all right. We'll be able to hold on to the wave for now. Has still got that teleport, and we'll be looking to get a lost chapter up as soon as possible on his next base, which he'll probably pick up here. And at which point, mana probably just won't be a problem anymore for Omen, and starts to become a bit of a wave clear. But it's somewhat similar to the Ziggs, where like once you got that lost chapter, you have like a major spike in your wave clear capability. Once you got your Ludens, which I assume is going to be the item he takes as his mythic, that's when your wave clear basically just becomes incontestable until you have Baron.
Ooh, natural CS lead. Natural CS lead for the side of Stefan here, because the whole team is doing such a good job at tracking Indecision. Wards everywhere. You see wards on the Grump after the counter jungle on the Grump. Ward on the Wraiths initially to spot out where his path was. And naturally, that means Indecision, despite hovering for ganks, they've spotted him out, and those ganks haven't worked out. So now, because of the times invested in hovering, he's behind in camps, and because of all that, all the tempo added up over the last 5 minutes, they've managed to secure this dragon.
Yeah, it's completely free prior on both mid lane and bot lane, so there's no real contention to be had. That's just well played by Nativz to start off this game right for them. 500 gold lead being built up here, just by CSing better as well. So far so good for the favorites here. Good hook though.
Yeah, it's so hard though when that wall goes up and this can just block out so much damage. That would have been any other support heavily chunked out from that play, but Braum, not so much.
Short trades though around Kai'Sa passive and making sure you don't take an all-in into the Braum passive, right? It can work out for the Nautilus. We're seeing here that's exactly what they're doing. You attack Braum's mana pool, right? Because every single spell costs so much mana, and eventually maybe there's something you can do, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. They're just going to take a reset and Twist will be okay. Has a bunch of potions, and they're going to walk out of lane. Now, Indecision's also resetting on tempo with everyone else. I want to highlight top lane though. This is what I was saying. It's such a brutal matchup, right? TP coming out for Shikari here, and he won't have it for 12 minutes, but still. Looks like he's going to be strong, taking a reset before this Rift Herald to make sure he can contest it.
I've been having a bit of a rough time trying to land these Qs onto Vladdy. He's missed 3 for 3 so far. It's pretty rough. Didn't even hit the W. That time gets it. Hey, dead center as well, so you can get the follow-up damage. That's what it's meant to look like, this lane. What's been happening has not been that, unfortunately, is Vladdy. Level 6, level 7 now, has the ultimate, so if Seneca wanted to try and make a play, he is very likely to get shuffled onto tower, so needs to be careful. At 2 for 5, I think, on Omen Qs.
Yeah.
No! Good flash. Beautiful
Fantastic.
flash. Pillar comes out, but he's going to be A-okay. Omen He might miss the cues, but he lands those flashes to safety.
That was insane, actually. Very nicely played from him, and the poke is good. Now, though, Nord looking to go in here, maybe just getting some poke down. Nativz can't really fully commit to the fight. They just want to push in the wave, but Nord won't allow them to.
Good micro from Nord and Seneca specifically. Knows there's no pillar because Stefan just used. It's going to be on like a 16-second cooldown, if that, if not more. And he could just walk up, take a short trade and chunk. And that way, the prio they seem to be forcing just... It translates into a recall cancel? Nice.
Oh, Vladdy. That is sad.
Yeah. Rift Herald might actually go over to the side of Nord now because of that chunk and the disabled recall. Vladdy's not going to be able to contest. Yeah, it looks like it's just going to go over the side of Nord.
That's good because honestly, we said it at the end of last game. The major problem that I think Nord had last game was they were playing Nativz pace. They weren't playing their pace. Nord are definitely better at playing a faster pace. And honestly, last game it just felt like they just conceded any tempo, any way to play the game, and just gave it all over. Then Voxney has the kill guns, so his tower is Hido's tower is going to lose 2 plates, and that's a lovely injection of cash into Denvoxney. Hido, unfortunately, having to concede some power, as you would expect when that is the lane state, as Kakos has a rather large wave pushing towards him, and Stefan may be looking to set up a potential gank. It might be pretty hard with this wave in the state it is currently in. As Twist is going to eat himself a little bit of damage here. Hido doesn't really have any follow-up, unfortunately. Twist does take some damage in response, though.
Take a look at that top lane CS league. Like, honestly, it's brutal. I mean, you get R5 counterpick, and it's a really good matchup. Still, that is a deficit and a half, considering he also has a Cull, and, you know, it's just against a puny Merc Tread. Still, under tower, probably going to be getting plates solo as well. Engages down bot side also keep failing because it is a Braum. Yeah, there's the solo plate for Shikari. That is a significant CS lead. I'd love to see a gold lead, like a toggle from the observers. Is that possible to see the lead from Shikari in isolation? Yeah, casual 700 gold lead.
That's pretty rough. As Indecision tried to steal the blue buff, but it's just a leash for Stefan, unfortunately for him. So Stefan quite happy with that one, able to pick up his blue buff and then carry on with his jungle, now accelerated somewhat, thanks to that start for him, as Indecision is just going to move on to the red side here. And again, though, I do need to emphasize, Nord are playing this relatively slow, and that suits Nativz. That's exactly what they want. They got Denvoxney on the Aphelios, they got Vladdy on the Azir. They want this game to slow down so they can get some gold injected into their carries. On the other side, Nord, they're fine as the game goes later, but realistically, they want to be spiking into the mid game and try and out-tempo Nativz. Because I think if you play Nativz game, if you want to play a 40-minute game, you're going to lose to Nativz.
Yeah, Kashkas wants to be freed from this lane as well. Definitely not fun for him. Wants to be able to have that impact later on in the team fights when he gets those first couple of items. Those spikes are the ones we're really looking for. 3 items on Hido as well would be big. Oman needs some more to really be able to have that effective poke that could force someone like Denvoxney to be out of a whole fight. So, waiting for those mid games, as you said. That's what Nord wants, but they're starting to get the first item slowly but surely, and that leads into a potential Drake here. Hido very able to clear the wave.
Starting at the Drake immediately is a little concerning. They need to poke first. I mean, they're not chunked at all. Denvoxney is full HP. Vladdy's only taking a small Q now. Nord don't have the poke condition. That is unfortunate timing.
That is unfortunate timing indeed. I was about to say, prior to all of what we just saw, they didn't use Herald. Indecision has Herald and went straight to Dragon. They could have placed it mid, they could have placed it bot, and then translated that into the Dragon. But the Herald is in the pocket of Indecision right now, and if they lose this fight, it's going to be real rough for them off the back of that one, unfortunately. Hopefully, that disconnect won't be too long. I don't really need to explain what happened there. Stefan left. Hopefully, we'll be back fairly quick and we can see the outcome of this Dragon play. But I am a little concerned because coming out of game 1, we were very much all aboard the Nord hype train. They played a very fast-paced game. They played the game we saw them play versus Ruddy and Verdant. And then it felt like after game 2, they've been a little stumped and they've been a little slow, and that's not the game style you need to be doing versus Nativz, because Nativz, they thrive if the game goes late. That is their area of expertise. And yes, Nord are an incredibly good team fighting team. We highlighted that, and we'll have to see if they can make this team fight, that's most likely going to break out, happen for them, because that's their moment to shine.
That's what I think. We want Nord to take the mantle in this game, right? When they reach their spikes in the mid game, they're the ones who say, now we are strong, we want to fight. They're going to force the objective, they're going to force the Barons, they're going to force the team fights. That's what I want them to see. I don't want them to be like, okay, Nativz aren't making any moves, we're happy to scaling 10, 15 minutes more, because they won't be. Because the scaling is just that bit better on Nativz, so the longer they go, the more percentage chance they get of losing the game.
Yeah, I do think, though, they've got to be careful, right? They've got to play to their win conditions, especially with the poke, right? We keep highlighting it, but it's so important. I think a better sequence of events that Nord could have gone for was place the Herald, and then when the Nativz are dealing with the Herald, you poke them as they enter the pit, right? I think that's something, or enter the river, rather. I think that's something they could have gone for instead. Instead, what happens is, I wish I knew how long they had on Rift Herald, but if they die here, Indecision loses the Rift Herald, there's a real risk they don't have Rift Herald anymore, or they just have to place it down bot lane, right? Because I think they've had it for a little while now. Still, maybe they value having Rift Herald on placing this Rift Herald bot lane, to snowball Hiddo. I think Hiddo is really important in this draft, the ability to dive in and just assassinate whoever you want to. I also think Rift Heralding mid is incredibly important too. In a game with control mages, typically Rift Heralding mid goes up in priority, because when the control mage no longer has a tower to back them up, they have to overextend and they're way more susceptible. Okay, so Rift Heralding mid, I think, is definitely an angle as well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think honestly, mid lane is the place where you want to be throwing down that Rift Herald. It's Azir. I mean, the problem is regardless, Azir has turrets, and I know they don't last as long, and I know they're not as tanky, but there is always, before a dragon play, you can slap a turret up on Azir, and suddenly the mid lane prio and the dynamic of the mid lane can change off the back of that. So maybe if it's bot, it's hard to say, but I feel like this is one of those games where waves are going to die very quickly, and towers are going to live for a very long time, because it is just so hard to push into a Xerath, into an Azir. And, as more and more items get finished up on those Xerath, those waves last less and less time, but that poke is gonna scale up. So yeah, I would like to see some more of that poke angle stuff. Hopefully, we'll get back into the game nice and soon, because I want to see how this plays out. But it is interesting with the It is interesting when you have the Trundle, because it's like a very typical counter to Sejuani, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a straight-up 1v1 in the counter, right? Because Sejuani, she's very tanky, her passive legitimately gives her more magic resist than armor. And what does Trundle's ultimate take away? Well, it takes away all that tankiness, so it is a straight-up counter, because you really want, as a Trundle, to ult Sejuani before anyone else does anything to end the fight, because then you steal loads of resistances, and you yourself become the tank. And that's really what Nativz need in this roster. They do need a little bit more tankiness, so it's important this Trundle does become tanky in the fight. So Stefan, a lot of pressure on him to soak up as much resistance as possible to really be able to be the frontline that Nativz need.
Yeah, I see. I look at this draft, right? I've got it up on my other monitor, and I'm on board with everything Nord has to offer, except for the Aatrox. I understand it's a very heavy CC, you can dive backline with it as well, I guess. It's just not as clear cut. On top of that, I get that you have Sejuani, but if you wanted an AD blind top laner, I think Asante was a better bet. Regardless, it started up. Let's see. Oh, the poke lands.
That is a lot of poke onto Vladdy, and I think they actually do lose Dragon. They should have done this from the very beginning, as Vladdy's just heavily chunked out. That was a little bit of a mistake. Here comes the Arcane Barrage. One last shot onto Vladdy. Meteor. One more. No. Vladdy survives.
And he's just going to waddle away. That Rift Herald does get a charge off and snowballs Hiddo a little bit. You see they sent 3 people down to defend it, as Seneca and Hiddo are going to get priority here, but still, unfortunately, miss on a kill. And Nord don't really get that much for conceding Dragon. 3rd Dragon now. 430 is going to be another Cloud. We're getting some some interesting souls today. I think it's been Cloud, Chemtic, Cloud.
No, it's Infernal Chemtic.
Was it Infernal? Okay,
yeah.
That bails it out.
We've actually had some good ones. Honestly, if you're Omen, you're so sad at the idea of a Cloud Soul, because it makes dodging your ability so much easier.
That's true.
It is going to be really rough. I mean, if you're the rest of Nord, you're actually quite happy with Cloud if they can get it, because Hiddo, heavily empowered by that, jumps in, has so much movement, especially with the supercharge on top of that. Gives Kakos a lot of movement when he's ulting, and without all that survivability. Ah, man, Omen, I'm not sold, and I don't think I'm going to be sold, as Seneca finds himself getting somewhat caught out here by Stefan, but is able to get away to safety.
Yeah. It just feels like Nativz has had Indecision's number. Right?
Wait, Herald died, timed out.
No, they cast it. They already placed Herald. That's why
when bot
has
okay.
down to 2 plates. Still, 1 more minute on play to see if Denvoxny can unlock any more. It looks like Indecision and Seneca are just going to shadow bot side to make sure no plays get taken. Mid lane wave is going to go in. They're going to meet, Jesus. And top lane, you could take a look at an isolation. How much a lead Shikari has made. Just completed an item compared to that unfinished Duskblader. Seneca might look for
Go
a
for it. No, they're not. They're not even going to go for it. Here comes the Moonlight Vigil. Dodged out the pillar.
What?
Narrowly avoided by the
Nice
hook there.
try.
As they are going to try and get
he's
some
out.
damage down. They do get a little bit down onto Seneca as a twist. There's the ultimate out, and a lot burnt there from the side of Nativz, and not a lot really gained off the back of it as Kakos gets himself a plate, which is a nice little bit of breathing room for him. But he's going into Pen Boots and Proto Belt with a Caulfield and Serrated.
Yeah, you don't want to be near the lightning maelstrom, slicing maelstrom rather, when that comes down, because it is going to be cutting through pretty much every single HP bar node, except for maybe Indecision, who won't be able to survive it. But let's see what happens here. Actually, just another good trade by Shikari. The thing is, for Nord, if they make a mistake in one of their early plays and they fall far behind, the game is pretty much done, because they want to be somewhat even when they reach their spikes. Otherwise, the game will be hard to play. So I understand them not going for any crazy plays. They're just trying to go out. Okay, they see, for example, Nativz had rotated down to defend Denvoxny. No reason to overextend to maybe just get 1 kill and then lose 3. They would rather say, we don't give up the first buff. We just keep scaling, because Nord, if they're 5, 6, 7k goal behind, and they reach that second.
I think there's a fight
yeah,
topside.
they're fighting.
Yeah, they are going for it. Shikari's down. First
massive.
blood for Omen. And that's the right of the Arcane doing so much work there for Omen, finally landing those shots.
You know, I'm so impressed you know the name of his ultimate still. Finally, something for Nord. I think this is the first kill in 2 games, right? Or is that the second kill? I can't quite
That's
tell.
their first kill in 2
First
games.
kill in 2 games. Still, Catch Cost is really chunked here. I wonder if they're going to turn it around.
Yeah, they're
They
going
could
to
be
look
in
for
trouble.
it. They flash over the pillar. They're going to get the follow-up there. In comes Catch Cost. He's got the sustain. He's got the healing. They find the lockdown, though, onto
don't have
Stefan.
the damage.
They're going to keep the pressure up, but they just don't have the damage to correct. And actually, that cost them the Herald, because I don't think they can really
Shikari's
start
TP?
the Herald
TP
up.
in.
Yeah, here comes the teleport from Shikari. A pillar may spell the demise of Nord here, but they are able to escape.
I wonder if Shikari could have held that TP and waited for
no.
Nord to potentially overextend. Indecision going to go for a steal. I doubt it. There's no way he throws away his life.
No,
for
he
this, right?
just walks in and steals this. I can feel it in my gut.
No
he walks
way.
out in the end. Oh, I mean, it's definitely up in the air. Shikari doesn't have the slicing maelstrom either. They give it up.
They missed Q. They went, you know what? We didn't get any damage off of the Q. It's not worth it.
But take a look at that vision down bot side for the next dragon. Right? There's so much red side vision all the time in the enemy jungle. You see a pink top from Shikari, and that ward is really broken. No one ever checks it. And there's also pinks down on bot side as well for this dragon for potential TP flanks. Now, Shikari doesn't have TP anymore, which is good, but Vladdy does. Maybe we'll see some kind of TP flank crazy shuffle, but I doubt it. It will probably end up being more of a front-to-back scenario. Still, loads of vision, flanks galore potentially, as Nord really have to sweep this away.
Yeah, they're going to be playing a full-on contest right now for the vision. They've got 12 seconds until that dragon comes up. Noman with the Leandries, actually.
Yeah.
So going the cooldown route, I think it's fine, actually. Also burning through Stefan's health bar.
I think when he gets some anti-heal as well, it's going to be really massive, because in the late game, Anaphelios could very quickly look to heal up. So if that anti-heal stays on him for a little bit longer, it would be very beneficial. Burning down the HP bars as well.
Oh, Vladdy.
Surely Vladdy, he's caught out here. If he gets spotted, no Indecision can see him until it's too late. And they
They
just
don't have the vision. They don't have the
scuttle
vision for
past
that.
each other.
That would have been an amazing play if they could see.
Yeah. Sejuani being stealthy, not something I've heard before, but still doesn't get seen and then takes the blast cone over. That denies a potential engage over the blast cone. Still, Nord get the first move into the river. They seem a bit hesitant though. They might peel off of this as they have to answer this rift out.
Yeah, Hideo's going to try and finish up the dragon,
Seneca?
but they're going to move over.
dead.
Seneca, he's in danger. They're going to throw everything down. There's a little bit of poke to follow, but there's just no follow-up. They try to jump in. Here comes the right of the Arcane, raining down.
Right of
Vladdy
the Arcane, man.
sniped on the
Denvoxny's
back
hit him.
line. Here comes the damage from Kakos,
Shikari.
though. They got the burn onto Stefan, but he's able to get the heal from the Triumph and Shikari, pinning them down in place. One by one, they fall down. Double kill for Denvoxny, and Nord crumble at the seams.
And it was just such a weird engage from Seneca, right? He hooks into 4 people alone into a Brom. Nort into Brom alone is a death sentence. You just get marked up and one shot, and then they try to continue, but Shikari comes in and saves the entire play, and in the end, Hido, despite managing to pick up that kill on Twist, just gets run over.
I think it's just draft difference again. I mean, the first game they got away with murder. They got an absolutely horrendous draft and they made it work. But Nativz, just every game, are just drafting so well. Their counter picks are on point, and I think part of it comes down to Hiddo maybe stubbornly wanting to play Xayah for 2 games, but also just a bit of disrespect in the sense that they kept letting Rail Rumble through. And Rumble being open this game, to me, screams that Kakos doesn't play Rumble. It feels like a pick that he doesn't want to pick. Like, he seems to be a major kind of flaw where Jakari is getting he's had 2 champions in the last 3 games. In every game where he's been able to have a lot of impact with a big AoE ultimate.
I think the problem is then you'd be quadruple AP, right? I think that might be a problem, but I completely see like how a Rumble ult would damage and like an Azir and an Aphelios trying to hit. I see the potency of that. Still, too much AP. Maybe a Hiddo could have gone AP. Still, Hiddo.
Omen's gone though.
Oh gosh.
Oh my. Yeah.
I thought Indecision flashed there. That was Vladdy who flashed the wall, but yeah. I mean, you didn't have to pick an AP mid as well. You didn't. There's so many options where you could have changed that up, but I don't know. I feel Kakos has maybe revealed his hand a little bit here. That he's not overly comfortable playing that Rumble, because that is an insta pick for Nativz half the time, and Nord just do not. They're just avoiding it like the plague.
I want to say as well, right? There's still time until this Nordcom comes online, so the fact that they're losing fights now and just getting further and further behind is really detrimental to how they want to play the game. Hiddo still needs the 3rd item. This AP Kaiser doesn't come online until that really hits, so he doesn't really do much damage, whereas then Voxne, 2 items on the Aphelios, definitely way stronger at this point compared to the AP Kaiser build. Oman still needs the 2nd item, hasn't gotten that quite yet, so he still needs some more scaling, but the problem is Nativz are getting so far ahead at the moment that if this continues, it won't matter that Nord scales, because Nativz will be just 5 steps ahead.
Yeah, just talking itemization, look how far behind Kakos is, right? We've been highlighting it all game, but this counterpick has done so much. He's 1 item to 2, right? Like, it's absolutely disgusting how much. And yes, AP items are generally speaking cheaper, but still, it's really brutal. And you could see how in team fights, Kakos just doesn't do as much. Not nearly as much. He does sometimes land some sweet spots, which are nice, but just having this display is not enough. Still, 2 minutes 50 till this dragon. Both teams posturing around this river and trying to hold control. I think if they manage to get red-white, they could actually threaten this Baron with this Azir, so maybe that's the play at hand.
I'll cycle through those guns and pick them up. I am not particularly great with the mechanics on the cycling of the guns for Aphelios, but I can tell you he has 12 Gravitum shots and 29 of the flamethrower. So Infernum, that's the one. Thank you. As Seneca might find himself dead. They actually had to ult from Indecision to defend Seneca, and Seneca's still flashing away. Stefan barely getting tickled. He did have the he didn't even have his ult on actually, so that's just like raw Stefan health. And Omen not really doing much damage, like you were saying earlier, Duckling. Not really got that many items at the moment, so Omen not hurting at all.
Yeah, I mean, the Nordpoke at the moment needs a lot of time if it wants to really do anything, because they just need more items. As I said before, with Baron on the map, Nativz could just look to turn at it 2 items.
They're starting it.
Yeah, they can just go for it. I mean, I don't know what Nordpoke are supposed to be doing here, because they can't really do too much. They have to try and do something, though.
Look at them boxing these guns. It's going to melt. There's no opportunity. Omen's barely poking them out. The flank teleport's coming in. Omen's buying some
good
space.
Damage on Vladdy,
Does get a lot of damage onto Vladdy. He has to throw the ultimate. Shikari on the flank is absolutely disgusting. Double kill over to Demboxy. Kakos falls next. That is an absolute whitewash. A triple kill for Demboxy. Look at the chakrams he had. Nord, I think we're going game 4. This is rough for them.
And it all starts with an insane, misplay from Vladdy. Actually, a crazy mispositioning. He tries to go for the shuffle, but he gets stunned mid-dash by Oman, which was a really good play for him, but from behind. Look at all that vision behind the Baron pit in the blue side jungle near that blue buff. There's so many places that Shikari can come from undetected. And he does just that. He finds the slicing maelstrom, chops down everyone in his path. Hiddo tries to flash away and take the blast cone, but he just can't get there in time before dying to this insanely accelerated cannon.
It's like a different team's playing from game number 1 here for Nord. They were so on it with team fighting. And in every fight for the last 2 games has just looked so scattered. Again, I think it comes down to Nord drafting and playing into native style is definitely hurting them here. But at the same time, they just seem to have no answer to any of these picks, and they do jump everything on to
Oh, they
Demboxy,
get this.
who is going to get absolutely melted. The shield comes in, but
Right?
he gets
No
flashed
way.
onto.
Oh, he's alive.
No way did Demboxy survive
No.
that. Vladdy comes in with a huge shuffle, and Demboxy, he's back to full HP. It's donezo. This is so doomed for Nord.
And it's just Denvoxney, isn't it? It's just
Oh,
the Denvoxney
no.
show surviving. He's putting his foot down as the best AD carry in the league. This veteran always pops off as Omen. He gets run down by this Freljord duo. It doesn't quite work out as Catchcross and Omen. They just have to watch everything crumble around them.
I think this might just be game. I don't think there's an opening here for Nord. They are
Come on, wave
respawning
wave.
soon, but they've got Baron, they've got the shove, they've got a wave to work with. I don't know if Nord have this.
The Summer King of NLC certainly is standing strong in this series. He wasn't really the main fault for them losing game 1, but he's been instrumental in winning both game 2 and 3. This game is as good as over because the scaling from Nord is not gonna matter. Hito doesn't have the 3 items when he needs it to, and look who has 3 items in box. The 7, 0, and 3. He got caught out all alone, but still ended up alive. It is unbelievable. And Nativz, they can pick themselves up their soul now. This is surely game over for Nord here in game 3.
I swear Omen has been sitting on that Hextech alternator for like
For about
good
10
8
years.
minutes now. Like he's not been able to finish up the time. I assume the Horizons focus comes in here. There it is. But man, that took a long time to get a second item. Like way too long to get a second item.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the initial dragon. Where the initial dragon call was really weird, where they didn't place the herald beforehand. They didn't try to look for poke before starting up the dragon straight away. It's like they're not used to playing this kind of poke composition into the Azir, and they're just trying to counterpick. It felt like that with the Swain too, but that actually managed to work out. Regardless, they're going to have to play for poke now and try to force a fight, otherwise they might just lose their entire base.
This is going to come at a heavy cost here. It's going to have to be a miracle play by Nord, but down goes the tower. Does not live long. Vladdy's somewhat poked out, though. There is a lot of damage still coming in from him, and now that he's got that second item onto the squishier members, like Vladdy, but the Cloudsoul, they're just so quick. It's so hard to hit those Qs here as Omen is trying to line up the Ws as well. Another Q coming in should get dodged away. Oh, no. Demvoxy takes it, but his shield eats most of it, so not really too much they can do about that. As they're going to try and jump in and see if they can make a play happen. Shikari has that slicing Maelstrom, and I think that's too scary here for Nord. They throw out the ultimate forward. They do get the follow-up hook there and the W from Aatrox, but it's not going to much. 2 kills over to Demvoxy. He's going to not get the third because that's secured by Shikari. And Nord, it's done. They have no opportunity. Demvoxy murdering them on the fountain for a triple kill. The base is going to crumble. And Nativz, they're on match point.
And they're just trying. Yeah, go ahead, Duckling.
I'm in absolute shock, man. Holy moly, Nativz. They've turned this series around within the past few games. Game number 1.